So the Miller family was getting ready to eat Sunday dinner, and was their custom that one of the children would say grace. And so this one particular night, it was little Billy's turn to say grace. And after blessing the meal and the hands that prepared the food, Billy asked for something he knew that his father needed: a new job. And his sister, his older sister Sally, being older, was in the loop and knew what was going on. And she says to Billy, he already got one. Ask for something else. Well, grace. When we hear the word grace, we often think of the blessing before a meal or of the age old expression, there but by the grace of God go I. But do we really understand the meaning of grace as a spiritual term? What role does grace play in our lives? When I hear the word grace, I think of gracious and gratitude. Both come to mind to me, that they are of the same root word as grace. And here's the good news about grace: grace, you do not have to earn it, and it is always present in our lives. The word grace is synonymous with the word love. It is unconditional, impartial, unsolicited, even. There is nothing that we can do that will increase its availability. But we can resist it by holding thoughts and feelings that are opposed to the nature of love or to the nature of being. In our humanness, in our ego driven mode, we do not separate ourselves from grace, but we can thwart it. We can slow its flow in the effects of its flow in our lives through holding feelings of anger, unforgiveness, resentments, etc. You get the, fill in the blank with those feelings that would hinder the flow of grace, would thwart it, not fully hinder it, but still kind of not allow for as much graciousness in our lives. And we may feel like we are separate from grace, but we are not. What we are doing is blocking its flow through our own behaviors. So if you remove the block, then you can experience the grace that you do not have to earn and is always present. The longtime Unity minister, Eric Butterworth, has this to say about grace. And I'm going to read from his book, Celebrate Yourself. And this is starting on the bottom of page 127 through 128. You are the activity of God in expression, beloved with an everlasting love. The law of consciousness is inviolable. The high consciousness heals, and the low consciousness weakens. However, something of the infinite is always filtering through and becoming part of your consciousness. Thus, the most sordid or limited thought is modified by God's love in you. It is like living in a house with every window and door tightly closed. Invariably, there is enough air leaking in and around the windows and doors so that your oxygen needs are met. This is grace. Another longtime Unity minister and teacher, Ed Rabel, in a 1961 lecture, cited Mary as the first example of accepting and working with the grace of God in her response of, "Behold the handmaid of the Lord, be it done unto me according to thy word." Mary did not question, doubt, or become angry or bitter, all of which would have blocked the flow of God's love, the flow of grace. She was open, and grace flowed in full expression in her life. And I'd like us to also consider that we can open to grace by being gracious towards others, by being godlike in our grace towards others, and knowing that they do not have to earn it from us, and that our grace is always present by being loving and merciful toward all who we encounter in our lives. So let's remember that grace is God's love in action. It is always available to everyone, just like air is always available. And we can't stop the flow of air, but we can hinder our experience of breathing in air by holding our breath. And we could also hinder the flow of grace in our lives by holding angry, negative, resentment, or unforgiving thoughts. The divine is always seeking to express through us, as us, even when we might be trying to shut it out. Grace always finds a way, and divine love modifies our ego driven thoughts. Know that grace is God's love in action, desiring to express through us and as us. And it empowers us to realize and appreciate that we never experience the full impact of our ego driven thoughts and behaviors and actions. And I'd like to leave us with this idea that instead of saying, "There but by the grace of God go I," say, "With the grace of the divine, I am blessed beyond measure in every aspect of my life. For grace is something that I do not have to earn, and it is always present." God bless you.